Well, thank you for coming on. I'm sorry we're having technical problems.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's weird. And it actually loaded like 3 or 4 times for me and then froze my face every time. So I don't know what's going
Oh,
on.
whatever. At least we're here. So tell everybody about your book,
Yeah,
Happy
so
Ever After Playlist.
the Happy Ever After playlist is out today. It's my second book.
Yay!
And while you
Congratulations.
don't, thank you. And while you don't have to have read The Friend Zone, it definitely helps because you get a lot of backstory for my main character in the Happy Ever After playlist in The Friend Zone. The Happy Ever After playlist is about a young woman who is struggling with complicated grief after losing somebody very close to her. And she meets the hero of the book when his dog gets lost and jumps on her through a sunroof. So it's very fun. It's a super fun rom-com. And it's out today. You can get it in Target. You can get it on Amazon, but hopefully you get it from your local indie bookstore because they definitely need your help right now.
That's so exciting. Well, tell me about what was the process like for writing this book?
Well, I started this book actually 3 years ago, almost to the month, 3 years ago. And I was on a family vacation. I was on a cruise ship, and I had this idea for a meet cute where this woman finds a stranger's dog. And there was this viral video going around at the time. And it was this guy who was dog sitting for his buddy's dog, and he was doing all this fun stuff with the dog. He was putting the dog's hair in a mohawk. He was sleeping with the dog in his bed and taking him to a dog park. And I thought, wouldn't that be so cute if the same thing happened, but it was with a woman who had never met this guy before, and that's like their meet cute. So she actually does that in the book. For the first several weeks, he has no idea what she looks like, and she has no idea that he's like this famous up and coming musician, Jackson Waters. And she sends him this video of her, having a great time with the dog, and that's the first time that he ever sees her face. So it's super romantic, and the banter is so fun, and it's really, it's like the kind of read we need right now in quarantine, for sure.
Yes, for sure. It sounds perfect. And when did you start writing? What made you want to start writing books to begin with? Like, how did you start your whole writing journey?
Well, writing was a hobby for me. I always enjoyed writing in high school. I never went to school for it. I never thought I could be an author. That wasn't something that I really aspired to do. But I started writing this book, and I was in this site called Critique Circle where you submit your work, and it got really great reviews. So it gave me the courage to query it to an agent, and I ended up going back in time. I got my agent with a Happy Ever After playlist, and I ended up going back in time and writing The Friend Zone so we could live through the events that make the main character in the Happy Ever After playlist who she is. And then we led with The Friend Zone as my debut novel because it was the first in the series.
Huh. And how many do you think are going to be in the series?
I have a 3-book deal, and the third book, it's called Life's Too Short. It comes out 1 year from now, and we actually meet the hero for that book at the end of the Happy Ever After playlist. So it's the same universe, but different characters. They're all standalone novels, and I don't know. I think I'm definitely going to keep writing after that book comes out because I'm just having a really good time.
That's awesome. It must be so nice to have 3 whole years of your life sort of tracked, planned out like that, knowing that you have a book due every year. I mean, that's I love that structure. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know. I like knowing there's a plan. So I'm assuming that that's comforting to you too, but maybe not.
Yeah, no, I like the plan. And I also like that we're only releasing one a year because I don't feel too crazy, like I'm having to do too much. Because I don't know how some of these romance authors do it where they, they're putting out several books a year. It is work. It is so hard. I have mad respect for anybody that can work at that pace. But yeah, I'm really
for you doing. I think 1 a year is impressive. I mean, my gosh. I mean, some people it takes 12 years for one book. So I don't know. I'm impressed.
Yeah, it's I can usually write a book in about 3 months is about my average. But then of course there's all the editing and then everything else that you have to do with it. But this particular book, it's been so long coming because, I wrote it 3 years ago, but then it went through major, major edits. I had to actually rewrite the entire ending. I had to highlight 35,000 words and hit delete and just rewrite the whole thing. So, and I'm so happy with the end result. I'm so proud of it. It's turned out exactly the way I wanted it to. And the audiobook is fabulous. I don't know if you ever do audio. Well, you do because you said in your last interview that you like to listen while you walk, and it's
For sure.
narrated just to perfection. It's so great. And the book also has a playlist associated with it. So every chapter has a song, and you can find the playlist on Spotify and Apple Music. So I recommend if you do pick up the book to go grab that first and then, listen as you read. Kind of feels like a movie when you do it that
Love
way.
it. Are there plans to make these into movies?
There's definitely interest, but I mean, you know how that goes. Like a million things have to go right for a book to be made into a movie, and then only one thing has to go wrong to derail the whole thing. So I tend to not get too
For sure,
excited
yeah.
about the interest, but there has definitely been interest. And I think the second book, I think the Happy Ever After playlist would make an absolutely awesome movie. It would be really fun to see that on the big screen, especially the ending. The ending is so epic. It's just, it's like a big time movie ending. I love it.
Someone in the comments asked if your characters were based on a real musician, if one of your characters was based on a real musician.
I took bits and pieces of a lot of different musicians to create the character of Jason. I kind of picture him as like a Bon Iver character. Bon Iver actually wrote, I want to say it was his last album or the album with Holocene on it. He got a cabin like up in northern Wisconsin, I think is the story, or Michigan or something, and he like hunkered down for 2 months and wrote this album. So that seems like a very Jason thing to do. So in my mind, Jason's a little bit like that, but he's also kind of an Ed Sheeran, but like not so, mainstream and popish. He is very grounded. He is a small town boy from Ely, Minnesota. So he's definitely not like your typical rock star type. And, people are calling this a rock star romance, and it totally doesn't feel that way to me. Like I know that it is technically a rock star romance, but it doesn't feel that way to me. Just because of how normal and grounded Jason is. So we really do get to see him at the beginning of the onset of his fame, and get to know him that way. But yeah, I didn't really base him off of any one person, probably like a hodgepodge of different, famous musicians. But one thing that I did do in the book is I wanted all the typical rock star things to happen to him, like, the trashed hotel room, the canceling the tour due to exhaustion, dehydration. Like I wanted all those things to happen to him, but for reasons that are different than they normally happen. So, as the reader, you get to see like why these things happen that we always see in the media and like what the real backstory of it is. So that happens in the book, and it's very cool to see.
That's awesome. Do you have any advice to other aspiring authors out there, having just gotten to the finish line #2 of your 3-book series?
Yeah, I would say if you're writing fiction, I definitely found Critique Circle to be very, very helpful for me. That site shaped my writing, totally made it what it is. It's like a boot camp for writers. It's a ton of work. It's a tit for tat community. So you do have to critique other people's work in order to be able to submit your own. But invaluable. I mean, I would not be here right now if it was not for the community on Critique Circle, hands down. So that would be my #1 advice, would be to do that. Go there. The only thing that I didn't listen to, my crit buddies, when I was on Critique Circle, was when I submitted the query letter that I was going to start sending out to agents. My query letter was very edgy, and it had a dick joke in it. And they told me not to send it, and I sent it anyway. And I got my agent on the first try. So, I mean, take that advice with a grain of salt. Your crit buddies are there to give you their opinions, but at the end of the day, you gotta do what your heart tells you to do. If your heart tells you to put a dick joke in your query, that's what you need to do.
Well, there you have it. I did not expect you to say that, and that's why I love asking these questions, because you just never know. I don't think I could pull that off, frankly, but I'm glad you did, and obviously you have the right agent because your books sold and are doing great, so congratulations. And congratulations on your pub day, and thanks for sharing this special day with me, and I'm sorry that you're frozen, but thanks for even sharing your voice with me and the people watching today, so thanks.